And then when you've taken those 10 breaths in total, just allow the breathing to return to its natural rhythm. So just letting the inhalation and the exhalation just come as it would naturally. And just seeing what the effect is like now on the body. So just being aware of how your body's feeling now after taking those breaths. Still trying to breathe through the nose. And then from here, we're going to start to slowly move. So just starting to move into the fingers, into the toes. Have a really good move into them, just releasing any tension. We hold a lot of tension in those hands, usually, especially if we're at a desk. So really have a good move into the fingers and the hands. And then we're going to just bend both knees and take it quite slowly to begin with today. So bending both knees. Again, just make sure the back of the neck is nice and long. And we're just going to bring the right knee in towards you. So just give that a bit of a hug in towards you and just take some circles through your right ankle. Nice and slowly, just waking that up. And you can move the toes at the same time. And then just coming to stillness. And we're going to kind of move those same circles into the hips. So you can place your left hand on the ground. And see if you can just stay nice and steady on the back of your hips as you just take some nice circles into your right hip. So drawing circles with the knee. And then taking that back in the opposite direction. And then just let yourself come to stillness again. We're going to straighten up through that right leg. So just starting to straighten through the right leg. And you can take your hands behind your thigh, interlace them, and just start to push the leg slightly against the hand. So you're getting a real good stretch. The foot doesn't have to go up towards the ceiling. It can go down towards the end of the mat a little bit, but just pushing that leg into your hand. And then while you keep the back of your pelvis grounded, see if you can bring the leg a little bit closer towards you so you can feel the stretch in the back of the hamstring. And if that feels good and you want to take a deeper stretch, you can just stretch into the left leg, straightening it toes up towards the ceiling. So you're getting a really good stretch there as well. Really reaching out of your hip sockets. So really feel as though you're pushing that left foot away from you and lifting into the right foot. So we're going to release the hands now, and we're slowly going to lower that right foot down to the ground. So try not to push the lower back into the ground here. Try to use your abdominals as you really slowly lower the foot all the way down and just let it hover just for a moment, just above the ground. And then you can release your foot and just let yourself relax for a moment. See if that right leg feels a little bit longer, a little bit looser. And then we're going to bend both knees again. And just take that to the other side. So just give that left leg a little bit of a hug in towards you. And taking some circles into the ankle first of all. Just starting nice and slowly. In one direction, then in the other. And then you can come to stillness with the ankle, left hand onto the ground, just taking some nice circles into the hip. Take it quite slowly so that you're kind of using your abdominals to stay nice and stable. And then in the opposite direction. And then coming to stillness, we're going to straighten that leg, interlace the hands behind the thigh and just pushing the thigh against the hands. So if you look at your foot as well here, the foot can be a bit wonky sometimes. We want to have both sides of the foot nice and parallel here. So see if you can kind of bring the outside of the foot closer towards you if it's a bit further away from you, or bring the inside of the foot a bit closer towards you. And then let's see if we can just bring the leg a little bit closer in towards the body so you're really feeling the stretch in the back of your leg. And if it feels nice, you can start to straighten out that right leg, Toes up towards the ceiling. See if you can have the heel of the right foot connected with the ground. So that's a little bit of an extra stretch into the psoas muscle there. So breathing into anywhere that feels a little bit tense or tight. And then you can release your hands. And again, we're going to slowly release the leg down to the ground. So you're engaging your core abdominals. I always feel as though I'm kind of trying to hold my belly button still as I breathe to kind of really engage those lower abdominals. And then just letting that leg hover and releasing it to the ground, and just give the legs a little bit of a kind of move from side to side, just so you can feel any release there. And we're just going to bend the knees again, so both knees bent, and just moving into just to warm up the pelvis and the lower back a bit. So taking the legs about hip distance apart. Toes are closer towards each other than the heels. So the heels are a bit wider than the toes, which is better for the lower back. And we're just going to rock into 4 pelvic tilts and then move up into a full bridge. So we'll inhale, and as we exhale, this time we do push the lower back into the ground and lift the pelvic floor muscles. Inhale back to neutral, push the feet into the ground as well to activate the legs. Exhale, pushing the lower back into the ground. Inhale back to neutral, 2 more of the pelvic tilts. Exhale, really lift that pelvic floor. Abdominals and pelvic floor work together in unison, remember, for support. Exhale, pushing the lower back into the floor. Inhale back to neutral, this time coming up to bridge. So as you exhale, push the feet into the ground, particularly the balls of the feet, of the big toe, and then start to roll up the spine. So as we roll up, we want to see if we can just roll the pelvis towards the foot of the mat. So we're opening up and making the legs stronger, not just working into the lower back. Use your glutes to lift up high. You can roll the arms underneath you, so you're really opening the chest now, and just take some breaths here. You can interlace the hands if that feels okay. Push the feet into the ground. Try to keep pushing into the balls of the big toe so the legs don't splay out to the side or the knees don't splay out. And then take a deep breath in, and as we exhale, we're rolling down the spine and finding neutral. We're going to take that again, this time with the arms overhead, just to stretch into the shoulders. So take a deep breath in. Exhale, pushing the lower back into the floor, lifting the hips, rolling the hips towards the foot of the mat. As you come up, taking your arms all the way overhead, and see if you can really reach into those fingertips now as you push your pelvis towards the foot of the mat, holding it here for 1. Use the glutes to lift up, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, releasing everything all the way down again. Take the hands next to you and take a little roll over onto one side when you're ready, just protecting the head. And you're just going to come up into a nice seated position. So just rolling up the spine, coming into a seated position, and we're just going to take a few more energizing breaths here. So take a cross-legged position if that feels comfortable for you. Sitting on your sit bones, and really feel as though you're lifting out your pelvis. So you don't want to be leaning forwards or backwards. See if you can have the crown of the head above the perineum, and really lift the spine out of the pelvic bowl. Shoulders relaxed, chin parallel with the floor. So we'll just take the hands to heart center for a moment, pushing the palms towards each other, send the elbows wide so you can feel the upper arms and the shoulders engaged. So we're going to take 2 breaths up and 2 breaths down. So what we'll do is we're going to inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. So you'll need a little bit more breath in you to do the 2 breaths on the trot. We'll do 4 of those in total, just to kind of really wake everything up. So when you're ready, really lifting out of the pelvic bowl, deep breath in and inhale, exhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. 2 more in your own time with your own breath. You can release the nose towards the hands when you're done. Just release the hands onto the knees and just bring the head back up to a neutral position. And then we're just going to pop over onto all fours just to start to warm up the back and the rest of the pelvis. So just spreading those fingers nice and wide. Knees underneath your hips and just making sure that the feet aren't sickling in towards each other. We want them directly behind the lower legs. So see if you can just gently, again, engage your belly button. Feel as though you're holding your belly button still as you kind of just come to a neutral position. So as you breathe, the belly button is still push the tops of the feet into the ground. So you can really feel engagement before you even move. And then we're just going to move to that core muscles again. So as you inhale, let your belly drop, bottom up to the ceiling, let the chest just drop through the shoulders, maybe look forward. As you exhale, push into the feet, round through the back, and think about the belly. Think about lifting the belly button up towards the spine. Let the head drop, open up the back of the shoulders. So you maybe close the eyes here and just work into kind of almost a meditative rhythm with your breath as you opening the front of the chest. As you exhale, you're really engaging the belly, you're lifting up towards the heart space. You can feel the core abdominals working, maybe even lifting the pelvic floor. So if you feel as though you're kind of, as you are arching your spine, you're kind of missing a bit of an area of the back, often we just go into the lower back. Make sure that you can just send those shoulder blades together and drop the chest. If you feel as though you're not pushing into the lower back or the middle back as you come into round the spine, see if you can just take a little bit of extra into those areas. And so when you've done a few of those on center line, just think about taking yourself into some nice big circles with the hips and the pelvis. Just waking that up a little. One direction, just taking it another direction. And then just coming back to stillness. We're not going to move the feet. We're going to keep them as they are. Just gently taking the bottom up towards the ceiling. This is kind of quite a good one for pelvic floor muscles. So taking the tailbone up towards the ceiling and just keeping that slight extension of the spine as you take your sit bones back onto your heels. So you might need to move them slightly closer together. Try not to let the feet sickle. And again, the belly button you might find will be pulling in towards the spine here as you release your forehead onto the ground and just reach into those fingertips. So see if you can come up onto your fingertips. See if you can send the shoulder blades together. And then just let those arms relax just for a moment. Give the jaw a wiggle if it's become a little bit tense. And we're going to bring the hands under the shoulders and just roll up the spine now. Coming into a kneeling position. So again, we're going to take hands to heart center, push the elbows wide. And then interlace the hands, pushing them forwards. And as you inhale, coming up to a nice position of kneeling. So really reach into those fingertips. And then we're going to take the arms behind us, rolling the shoulders back, interlacing them. If you can, bring the chin towards the chest a little bit. And you can release the hands. So let's take the right leg out to the side. And see if you can keep pushing the hips forward here. So you've got a bit more of a stretch in the hips. Toes can either face forward or they can be pointed away from you, whatever feels good. And see if you can just keep the spine so it's nice and long. We're going to take a stretch over that right leg. So we're going to inhale the arms overhead. And then exhale, reach up and over the pelvis. So you're not crunching into the lower back, just to take that stretch over the right leg. So you should feel maybe a stretch in the inside of the right leg. Really breathe into the side of the body. And see if you can just take the right kind of shoulder to look up towards the ceiling. So it's a tiny bit of a twist. Holding it here, really opening that chest. And if you feel kind of this a little bit twingy in the lower back, see if you can lift a bit higher rather than coming down lower, lift a bit higher. So just to get those shoulders moving, just come back to kind of that lateral bend. So you can come so that you're nice and aligned, and then bring the arm overhead. We're going to take that hand to the floor and we're going to lift up the right leg. Arm comes overhead here. So use your core, keep pushing the hips forwards as you take your arm overhead. Flex that foot now so you're nice and strong in that leg that's lifted off the ground. And then we're going to bend that knee, or you can stay here if it's too much, bending the knee and just pulling the heel in towards your bottom, pushing your hips forward, open the chest if you can, and hold it here for 1, 2, keep breathing, 3, 4, and 5, lovely. So you can release your leg now, coming back onto all fours. And we're just going to sit back onto those heels again. So if you can, sticking your bottom out, bringing the bottom back onto the heel. So you're fine. So hands coming to heart center again. Interlaced in the hands, if you can remember where you interlaced them last time, doing it opposite. And then pushing the hands forward, coming all the way up, big stretch here. So really take those shoulders up to your ears, really stretch into the sides of the body. And then bring the arms wide, interlace them behind you, pull the hands down towards your bottom. You can take the chin to the chest a little bit if you want to feel that extra stretch. Let that jaw relax a little bit. Coming back up to neutral, release the hands. So we're going to take the other leg nice and long so you can have the toes pointing wherever feels comfortable. See if you can push those hips forwards a little bit though, so you're really opening up the hips. And then inhaling the arms overhead. And then reaching up and over the pelvic bowl just to take that stretch to the left side. Maybe creeping the toes a bit further away from you for an extra stretch in the side of the leg. And we're taking the left kind of inside of the shoulder up towards the ceiling. So there's a little bit of a twist. And then coming back to neutral. Taking the arm overhead, and use your core now to take you onto the floor. Other arm comes forward, pushing the hips forward, flexing that foot that's off of the floor, lifting up here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to bend that left knee, holding onto my foot or my ankle, pushing my hips forward, opening up through my chest for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lovely. Releasing your leg, coming back up onto all fours, and then just finding that kneeling position again. So sticking the bottom out, bringing the bum onto the heels, and then we're going to take a good stretch forward. So keeping that little tiny little curve in the lower spine. See if you can reach forwards, look forwards, and then coming up onto all fours. So you've got quite a wide distance between the hands. Maybe just take the hands a little bit further forwards and quite wide across your mat. We're going to tuck the toes now. And we're going to round through the back. See if you can pull the belly button in towards the spine now. To round through your back. Lift your knees off the ground and just hover here for a moment. Take a breath. And another. And then send your tailbone up towards the ceiling. So we come into a really stretchy downward dog here. So push into your feet. Push into the heels. Push the hands away from you so you can really feel those shoulders opening. And you've got a choice here. You can either drop to the knees and then bring the right foot forward, or you can lift the right foot, round through the back, and place the right foot in front of the mat. So when you arrive here, you might want some blocks just to keep a little bit of height. You can take them higher even. But see if you can just let the hips release, let the pelvis release later through the back of the neck. And then just allowing your knee to release to the ground, let the toes release here. So just sinking into those hips a little bit. And you can release the hands. And we're just going to take the arms nice and wide. So lifting the arms all the way overhead, reach into the fingertips. And then just let the hips sink again, lifting up. Lovely. So we've got another choice here. We're going to either lift the back knee off the floor, or you can keep the leg on the floor. So we're bringing both hands onto the ground, either lifting that back knee, keeping the hips low, or keeping the knee on the ground as we just stretch into the chest and reach towards the right side. So planting the left hand down, reaching towards the right side for 1, 2, maybe look up towards the hand, 3, 4, push the front foot into the ground, 5. So let's release the hands now. We're going to step back now into downward dog. Stepping back into that long downward dog. You could always come back onto all fours first. Lovely. If you want to push into the heels, you can do so. And then just coming back to stillness. Push those hands away from you. And then you're either going to lift that left leg up towards the ceiling, round through the back and bring it forward, or drop to the knees and take that left foot forward. So we're going to, first of all, lift the back knee off the ground, let the hips drop, push into that back heel, because try and get that back leg to work really hard. So pushing into the back heel, lifting the back knee, and then releasing the back knee to the ground. Taking the arms wide all the way overhead. So every time you breathe, think about lifting up. Exhale, maybe sinking a bit lower. Push into that front foot. Back of the neck's long. And then reaching forwards, releasing the hand. So either lift up that back leg and taking your twist, or releasing the back leg, taking the twist. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep breath in. Exhale, release. Plant the hands and step back into your downward dog. Let the head completely relax. Take 3 deep breaths in and out here. So when you've taken those 3 breaths in and out, we're going to step forward to a half lift, or jump if you want to. So just coming forward into that half lift. Taking the hands onto the shins, onto a wall, onto a block. We want the spine to be long here. So lengthen through the top of the head. Back of the neck is nice and long. Just reaching forward with your body. And then just starting to drop the hips towards the heels. So push the feet into the ground. Take the weight into the heels. And then taking the arms all the way overhead. Reaching up into those fingertips. Sinking into the hips. Hold it here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to take hands to heart center here. We're going to keep the right foot forward, and we're going to step the left foot back, coming onto the tip toes. So kind of a bit of a balancing act. You're using those cores to keep you nice, core muscles to keep you nice and upright. So onto those tip toes. Inhaling the arms all the way overhead, reaching to the fingertips. We're going to bend through that back knee if you can. If it's too much, just keep it straight. So engage your back buttock, bend the back knee, hover for a moment, and then push into the back heel. Make that back leg work really strong. So keeping the back heel off the floor, going to come into a fold. So really think about reaching up and over your hips. You might take a wall, you might take some blocks. Coming to that half lift again. And then if it feels okay for you, you can start to shrink through that front leg. So lengthen through your spine, pull the belly button up towards the back of the body. Take a deep breath in, and if you can release a little bit more, releasing a little bit more. See if you can have your body on the inside of that front leg. Create a little bit more strength, length. For 1, 2, as you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, maybe fold a bit more. 3, 4, 5. So if the front leg is bent, we're straight, we're going to re-bend it. Engage your core, push into your back leg. So the back leg's really strong, coming all the way up again. Hold it here. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lovely. Bring the hands back together to heart center. Stepping forward to the front of the mat, we're coming straight into chair pose again. So arms coming overhead. And we're going to exhale, just sink into the chair, pull the belly button towards the spine, weight comes into the heels. Reach up into those fingertips. So see if you can keep lengthening your spine here as we come back to a half lift. So straightening through the legs, let the hands don't have to come onto the ground. We're straightening through the legs and lengthening forward. We're going to place the hands on the ground. So you're forward folding, you're lifting up and over your pelvis, placing the hands on the ground, release the head to the floor. You might need support. And then see if you can just take a little bit of weight into the hand. So you almost feel like you've got equal weight on the hands and the feet. And we're going to step back into downward dog now. So you're taking yourself back into your downward dog. Push the ground away from you. Let the head relax. Push into those hands. So you can really feel stretch in the back of your body. And then weight comes into the hands again. We're stepping forward to half lift one more time. So you can jump forwards if you want to. Coming into a half lift, pull the belly button towards the spine, lengthen through the back of the neck. Taking the weight towards the heels as you come up into your chair pose. So reach up into those fingertips. Sink a bit lower. And then hand is coming to heart center. See if you can keep those knees bent as you keep your left leg forward, stepping the right leg back. So lifting that back buttock, lengthen through the spine, core is engaged. Inhale the arms overhead. Back leg super strong here, lifting up through the spine. And then you can just drop that back knee, let it hover for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, straighten the back leg, lift the back buttock, back heels lifted. And we're going to fold over, almost as if you're folding up and over your femurs to come into a half lift. Lengthen through the back of the neck. If it's available, straightening that front leg. See if you can pull that right hip forward. We're in a half lift to begin with. And then if you want to, you can take it a bit deeper, holding it here. Lovely. So half lifting again. Bend the front knee, push into the back leg, coming all the way up again. Lift that back buttock. And then bring the hands to heart center. We're stepping forward, coming straight back into your chair again. So take the arms nice and overhead. And then sinking into chair pose. See if you can keep the knees over the feet, so don't have them stay to the side or come in towards each other. Sink a bit lower maybe. Reach into the fingertips. Hands come to heart center. We're going to straighten up through the legs. Just keep that grounding now as we move into tree. So just find somewhere to focus on. Feel nice and equal through both feet. Core is engaged. And then just taking the weight onto whichever foot feels most comfortable. Find wherever tree is today. It could be that the toes are on the floor or on the lower leg. We're going to just take a moment to arrive here. So we're going to see if we can take those breaths almost like the ones we did at the beginning of the session. So inhaling, inhaling, exhale, exhale. 3 more of those if you can. When you've taken 4 of those in total, you can release your leg. Take a moment, maybe give it a bit of a shake. And then just find Tadasana again, because we're going to take yet another chair pose. So just find Tadasana, feet hip distance apart, making sure you feel grounded through the feet. And then inhale, arms overhead, coming to sit in your chair again. So coming into your chair, really ground through your feet, make your core engaged and lengthen through the spine, which is what we want for that balance. Just see if you can find that focus here now. And then push the feet into the ground, straightening through the legs, taking the hands to heart center. So just finding somewhere to focus on. It might be different on this side, you might be on the lower leg, toes might be on the ground. See if you can lengthen through the back of the neck, almost feel as though you're pulling your belly button up towards the heart space. And then just moving into those breaths if it feels okay. So let them flow, inhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale. Two more of those. Keep the spine lengthened. You've taken 4 in total. You can release your leg and just release the hands. Just give those shoulders a little bit of a roll. And we're just going to take the legs a little bit wider now. So take the legs to about leg distance apart, and we'll take ourselves into our warrior 2. So right leg is we have it slightly up towards the right. That rotation comes from the hip. Toes are along the long end of the mat, slightly up towards the top corner if necessary. And just taking those arms wide, so you're really opening up through the chest. Look over the front fingertip, push into the back leg, bend your front knee. Now we want to lift that back buttock and push the side of the back leg into the floor, holding it here. Keep lengthening up through your spine. Feel as though you're lifting that spine out of the pelvic bowl, creating space in the hips. And then we're going to interlace those hands behind us. Pull the hands away from you, and you're going to lift up and over the pelvis to fold forward as far as feels comfortable for you. Keep pushing into the back of the leg, so don't just rely on the front leg here. And take those hands away from you if you can. Surrendering warrior. Can you keep the knee over the ankle while still engaging that back foot? So let's take a deep breath in. Exhale, push into the back leg. Come all the way up. And straighten that front leg. Take the arms wide. Toes are facing forwards. And you can either take the arms overhead here or onto the hips, whichever feels good for you. We're going to fold forward. Try not to lead from the chest. Try to just kind of lift the torso up and over the femurs as you come forwards. Releasing the hands underneath the shoulders to begin with. See how that feels. Let the head release. And then if you can, take the hands either on the outside of the ankles or on the big toes, yogi lock, 2 fingers and your thumb, and take the elbows wide so you can feel the chest open at the same time here. Shift your weight forward and you can send your tailbone up towards the ceiling a little bit more. And then release the hands back under the shoulders. We're going to take the feet at 10 to 2. So we're going to come to goddess. So just from your hips, you're rotating your legs. So the feet come at 10 to 2. And then bend the knees like you're coming into a squat almost. Hands to heart center, coming all the way up into goddess. And then take those elbows high to the shoulders, holding it here. Sink low. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Push into the feet, pull the heels together, come up, arms go wide. Leading with the left leg this time. So you're rotating that left foot slightly off to the left side, open up through the chest, deep breath in, Exhale, bend that left knee, lift that back buttock, push the back foot into the ground, shoulders away from the ears. You can keep that knee roughly over the ankle, make it work. And then interlace the hands behind you, pull the hands away from you, maybe change the interlace this time, lift up and over the pelvis. See if you can push those hands away from you. So you're not just letting them passively fall behind you, you're lifting out of your shoulder girdle. Lovely, take a deep breath in and exhale, push into that back leg, coming all the way up. Send the arms wide, straighten the legs, toes facing forwards. So this time we're going to release the hands behind us, interlace them and pull them away from the bottom. So don't come onto the very sides of your feet, push the balls of your big toe into the ground as well, so you're equally across your feet. Take a breath in and then folding forwards as you take those arms overhead. So again, not just letting them passively flop, lifting them up towards the ceiling. Shifting your weight forwards, let your head release. Take some nice breaths in and out. Let the jaw relax. Lovely. So if you can here, release your hands. Take the feet to become at 10 to 2. And then just start to bend the knees again. Hands to heart center, coming all the way up. Lift the elbows, find goddess. Maybe sink a bit lower this time. Holding it here. So we're going to take a breath in as we exhale, pull the heels together, reach into star pose. Deep breath in, exhale, reaching up into star pose. And then bring the arms overhead, back to the heart center. We're going to come down onto the floor. So we want to come through by way of a squat. If you need something behind your bottom, fine. You might want to bring the legs a bit closer together. Hands coming to heart center, lengthen through the back of the neck. Remember, yogi squats, you don't want to move forward too much. Stay nice and upright with a curve in the spine. Deep breath in and then exhale. You can either come halfway down to begin with and then meet on the floor, or you're slowly lowering down. So you're not kind of flopping into it, you're slowly coming down. Just sit just outside of your kind of hips for a moment. And then you can let your tailbone release. Hold it here for 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then releasing your bottom to the floor. See if we can just work into that core a little bit more by bringing the soles of the feet together, lengthen through the back of your neck, through the back of your spine. And then if you can, just starting to straighten out one leg and the other. Hold it here for 2, 3, keep reaching up, 4 and 5, releasing your legs again. And we're going to take the right leg out in front of us. So you keep the left leg in towards you, right leg comes out in front of you, toes up towards the ceiling. So work with what feels good today. Sit on the sit bones. We want to see if we can stretch down the inside of that right leg. So we're going to inhale the arms overhead, reach up, lift out of your pelvis, and then exhale, folding forwards, finding length in the spine. You might come here. You might use your breath just to come a little bit deeper. And really stretch into those hands. So wherever you are, see if you can stretch the hands away from you. So let's inhale, reach forwards, coming all the way up. Release the hands, planting the left foot on the ground. See if you can bring it quite close in towards your sit bone. And then just bring yourself off to that angle so that you can twist freely in the lower back. So let's move into the shoulders, taking the left hand behind you, sitting up straight so you're not slumped here. And just see if you can think about the rib cage moving past that bent leg. Keep pushing into the right leg so that the lower back is nice and relaxed, shoulders relaxed, open across the chest. See if you can keep the chin parallel with the center of the chest. You don't have to look all the way around unless you want to. So you really want to see if you can stretch into those shoulders. So we're going to take a nice breath in, really lengthen through the spine, fully inflate the lungs, and then completely do that full-on exhalation. Really let everything out. And then just retain the breath as you come out of your twist. Inhale maybe to 70% and release. And you can start breathing again, breathing properly again as we just take the fold. So bringing the right leg in towards you, left leg is straight, sitting up nice and straight, arms coming overhead. Exhale, folding forwards, finding where it is this side you want to be. You're keeping your right hip bone planted into the ground as you lengthen your body down the inside of the left leg, left toes up towards the ceiling, stretch those arms away from you so you can just stretch into those shoulders. A bit more of a stretch there. And let's inhale, reach forwards, coming all the way up. Release the hands. The left leg comes on the floor. Right leg, sorry, comes on the floor. Sole of the foot is on the floor. About a fifth difference between the straight leg and the bent leg ankle. Just shifting over towards the right side so the pelvis is in the right direction. Bringing your right hand behind you. You can take it a bit away from you, just keep lifting up straight. And then inhaling as you exhale, twisting into those shoulder blades. Keep pushing the left leg away from you so you can feel the stretch in the back of it. Face is relaxed, shoulders are away from the ears. See if you can create a little bit more twist in the upper chest. And we're going to come out of this the same as we came out of the other one. So breath in, fully exhale, retain the breath. When you come to the bottom of the exhalation, release, and then just inhale to 70%. Let that release, and you can come back to a natural rhythm. So just to finish off now, I'm going to come to a boat pose and move down into low boat. So bending the knees, arms coming in front of you, and then just find your boat. And you might be in full boat today, you might be in half boat, whatever feels good for you. But see if you can really lift out of those abdominals. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're lowering down. See if you can stay in low boat for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release to the ground. Take a big stretch overhead. And we're just going to roll onto our front now, just to open up the lower back in a Sphinx pose. So take the legs so they're mat distance apart. Arms coming underneath your shoulders, elbows under the shoulders, toes towards each other, opening up the lower back. And it's length we want here, remember, so don't kind of just scrunch into the lower back. So inhale, really feel as though you're lifting the spine out of the pelvic girdle, push into the hands, and then really feel the upper back start to open up. Back of the neck is nice and long. Engage your bottom, lifting up here. Feel the belly button stretch away from you. Feel the stretch in the front of the body. Lovely. Take a deep breath in. Melt down as you exhale. And just interlace the hands underneath the head. Just have the feet face towards each other, so toes towards each other. Let everything relax here. So this will be nice and relaxing for the lower back. And just take some breaths into the lower back now. And then when you're ready, just take a little roll over onto your back. Have a wiggle into those hips like you did at the beginning. So bending the knees, wiggle from side to side into the hips, let the lower back release. Lengthen through the back of the neck, and then just send both legs out to the foot of the mat. Release the hands. You can have the palms facing up or down, whatever feels good. And again, use the 3 complete breaths to let your body physically release into the ground. And then just once again, scanning the body and allowing release wherever you need it. See where you feel naturally drawn to. Let the breath return to its natural rhythm. Just checking on your energy, where you are physically, energetically, and mentally at the end of your session today. Just take a moment just to be in that stillness, in the present moment. Being wherever you are now before you move into your day. And then just, if it helps, a little few lengthens of the breath. Taking a bit of movement, maybe a big old stretch now, just to kind of get all that energy flowing from foot to crown of head to tips of fingers, pointing the toes, flexing the toes. And then you can bend the knees and come up to seated, just to close the practice. So again, see if you can sit on the sit bones. Take a moment just to be still, whether the eyes are open or closed, with wherever you are this morning. Really lengthen the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And let's take a stretch to finish. So palms face forward, deep breath in, reach overhead. Exhale, take the hands to heart center, just pushing them nicely together, lifting the elbows, back of the neck's nice and long. Maybe close the eyes. And then you can close your practice however you wish. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day and see you soon.
Thank you, Abby.
Lovely, thank you.